Hey, you've got this part of the video. You've got the live unedited edition. Home Gadget Geeks, Thursday night. It is the 29th of April. I think this is like a 5 Thursday April or something like that. It has to be with it going this deep into the numbers. It's almost 8 o'clock. We're a few minutes before 8 in the Central Time Zone. If you caught this any other time than that, you caught the recorded version, and that's okay. We're in the pre-show. So hang tight. We're going to open some beers and talk about those, and then we'll get to the show here, or we won't. One of the two. I don't know. The beers may lead to just.
Just gonna watch us sleep for the whole show.
The old Blab days when there was a guy on there and he would just he almost, it was almost like the Truman Show. He would leave himself on when he was sleeping. So
did he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I forget what he was that guy that bought all those, like the cancer drugs. They came up for sale and he bought them and then jacked the prices up by like 4,000% on people. And I'm surprised people didn't go after him. Mike, what are you pouring?
Yeah, so I just opened. This is the first time I'm trying this one. You guys know I'm a Boulevard fan because I'm from Kansas City. This is the Boulevard Bourbon Barrel Quad, barrel aged. What I like about Boulevard is, I don't know if you guys can see this, but they put a little summary there of alcohol content and IBUs. You probably can't see it. It's not focusing. Either way, 12.2% alcohol. So this is a wine, essentially, and 26 IBUs. But at 12.2%, these are the ones they sell in the 4-packs. Yeah. They don't sell in a 6-pack.
$12 a 4-pack or something like that. 10.99 maybe? 11?
14.99.
Ooh.
Yeah. But oh my goodness, that is delicious.
Pretty delicious, right? Bourbon barrel.
So I saw it had like cherry, and it's not that dark, rich, smoky bourbon. It's a very fruity, almost bourbon taste. That is absolutely delicious. I'm a big fan of that. For me, barrel aged can be hit or miss, honestly. I'm not a bourbon guy. I'm not a whiskey guy. And so it's something, but this is really, really good.
Even though you have a bottle of Jefferson's from this guy.
That stuff was good. Remember, because you came over and you're like, you gotta try it, and that was, if I have one that a friend recommends that I know is good, then I'll do that. Give me 1 second. I gotta do one thing real quick.
Yeah. While you're gone, Mike, I'll pour I'm doing a Rattler again. So that is also, whoa, I got a little too aggressive on that. That is also a Boulevard, and always available this summer. This is a shandy competitor if you've never had it. By the way, if you can get Boulevard in your market, this Boulevard's always a good one to go with. And out of Kansas City, Mike's a Kansas City guy. Ginger and lemon. They say bright citrus zing. And I thought, Mike, we're doing Rattler again because it's so
nice,
freaking good.
Yeah,
we had the kids over this weekend on Sunday, and I thought for sure they would just get wiped out, but I had a couple left. I was like, okay, so Sarah really likes these. So I think I'm going to go this weekend down to Hy-Vee and pick up, probably 4, 5, 6 packs.
It's always good to stock up on those ones that are like winners, right? And that's the weird part about this one, Jim, is this tastes to me the most summery bourbon barrel you could get. Like it's fruity, it's really good, but not like, it's not like a strawberry beer. But I mean, for a bourbon barrel, it's really good.
Yeah. What's the beer? What kind of beer is it in a bourbon barrel?
Ale, barrel aged ale.
Nice. Yeah.
So not a stout, because usually those are the stouts.
Right. Yeah, I did that Moose Drool a couple weeks ago. That's that brown ale from Big Sky Brewing, and that's a pretty good one too.
I love Moose Drool. Yeah, I've only ever had that in a bar, but I didn't even know they sold it at the grocery stores.
I rarely see it. That's why I picked it up, because I was in there and I was like, oh, wait a minute, Moose Drool. They had it on sale. That's kind of the way I've been buying my craft beers, is buy the ones that are on sale, and that way it keeps me kind of trying different ones. It's kind of the way I track it. I have to tell on myself. I was in Hy-Vee, and they have the little punch card that you can get. Have you ever gotten those for craft?
No, but I need it because that's the only place I shop. It's right across the street from my house.
Well, yeah, okay. So this may be, I don't know if it's just ours down in Papillion, or
I've never seen it out here. They've never offered it.
Ask them if they've got a like, hey, hey, my buddy shops down at the Papillion store, and they have a little punch card. Just ask him.
Okay.
So I think when you buy 11, you get your 12th free, something like that. And it's, like that's when in the scheme of things, that's not saving that much. But
But
it's
if you go to the same place every time,
yeah,
it works.
no, right on. So it takes me a while to fill one up, but I get in there. So I went in and I wasn't thinking, and and it's for craft beer. Like that's the whole idea. And I was buying Bud Light, Bud Light Orange. And I was like, oh yeah,
This is craft beer.
I was like, don't forget. And the guy goes, oh, that's not craft beer. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Sorry. Didn't mean to. He gave me that stare down like you poser. You beer poser.
Hey, have you tried the hinges of orange are fantastic in this?
It's brewed with real orange peels.
Yeah.
It says right on the side. Do you does your Hy-Vee have cigars? Can you get cigars?
They have a very small little case at the end of the liquor counter. That's about it. But yes, they do.
Find it. And it's a pretty good size case.
Okay. Ours is like
I don't know if I buy them there.
tiny little box.
Yeah, I kind of wonder.
There's you probably own more than are in the box at Hy-Vee to sell.
That's very possible. That's very possible. I had so I get the Thompson's deals via email all the time, and I'm always looking. There's just a couple brands that at Thompson's that you always just say yes to, like 5 Vegas. That's a brand I love. Punch is one that I love there. Macanudo, love that. They're all kind of the cheap end, but they're the best of the cheap, right?
Yeah.
And because there's some really bad cheap cigars, but this is kind of the best of the cheap. And Tabac, that's another one it's really chocolatey. So I got this. I got both the 5 Vegas and the Tabac on. They were given they had like a 50 pack of the 5 Vegas, and it was 25 pack. 25 packs. So it was 5 of each, 5 of 5 different kinds.
Oh, nice little variety pack.
Yeah. It was, and then they had, and I think that was like $69 or something like that. $70, let's say, free shipping on it, which is kind of cool. Saves you $8, on the shipping. And then the Tabacs were, whatever, $50, and so the whole thing came to about $3 a stick. And I was like, oh, Tim is reminding me, cost effective, not cheap. Okay, so that's good reminder.
Got to position it correctly.
Tim, thanks for that. No, right on. So I got it to about $3 a stick, which is pretty good. But it was going to get me like 25, 35, 40, maybe 50 new sticks. And it's like, do I really need 50 new sticks? Like, I am barely going through the ones that I have. The kids aren't coming over as much. I'm not sharing them as much. A couple years ago, I would go out with work buddies and I would, give out 5 or 6 cigars at a session. I'm just not.
I know. I got to get you back over here. That's my part about you coming over.
Going to your place. I need to. Now that the vaccinations are complete,
now we're all good.
I have no fear. So it's just not true. But so I had that realization, like, okay, I know this is cheap, but I don't need another 50 sticks. Like, where would I put them? I have to go buy another humidor, which means I need to buy another hygrometer, which means I need to get more Bovida packs, and you're just like, okay, no.
So you did all of that, right?
Yeah. So the 50 came yesterday.
Your humidor is now like a chest, or you built a room onto your basement.
I need a real one.
Ed
Sullivan said to me, you don't need a humidor. Stop buying so many cigars. Like, because I get 5 a month from the care package over at Two Guys. And I smoke those with Ed on Sundays. So that's a 1-for-1. And then we're going to talk about it in the show. I'm trying to get this Discord cigar group going on Saturday. So my Saturday afternoons / evenings would be that. And then maybe one on Friday. So, and the Friday is kind of hit or miss. And the Saturday thing hasn't even started yet. So, I am literally not getting rid of any more than are coming in. So if you buy extra, It just doesn't. The math doesn't seem to work out. So anyway.
But the fun and enjoyment is there.
Well, there's been some thought that prices are going to jump along with everything else, and some may not be available. So I was like, well, do I want to? And at the current rate I'm going through my sticks, Mike, I'm good for probably 3 or 4 years at this point.
You definitely don't need new ones.
I went in the other day. I went in the other day and I was like, well, am I running low? This is just one. This is just one of the humidors that I have. This round, this one, and it's full. Like, it's like I was like, okay, there's probably 30 cigars in here. And it's like,
I was wondering how many fit in that thing.
Well, those are the small firecrackers. So I can get quite a few. I could probably get 25 in regular size in there, just in the round. But it was one of those things where I was like, yeah, it's going to take me forever. Just that one is going to take me a while to get through. So the kids came over and I gave away a bunch, and I swear they grew in there because I was like, I gave a bunch away, and when I went back, there were still. It's like the never-ending cigar humidor.
It's everyone's dream.
Hey, are they gonna? Well, I like buying them too. That's the thing. Is like I don't like buying them as much as I like smoking them. So it's Tim. Thanks for that reminder. Cost effective, but it isn't. I am going out. I'm going out to Boston in September to see Ed for they have a big event going on there. And I'll pick up probably 17 more. I think that's the deal. I think it's a $300 and you get 17 cigars, but they feed you steak and all kinds of other stuff, right? And so I'm going to come back with 15, 16, 17 cigars. So I don't really need to buy them, but that's kind of sad. I like buying them.
Wait, so did you end up ordering them or not?
No, I didn't order them.
No, you didn't. Okay.
No, I didn't. No, I got going to Boston in September, and I'm going to get 17 more. Those will last me 2 years by themselves. Anyways, I got to start meeting with people. It's one reason the pandemic needs to end, so I can just start meeting with people in places.
Yeah, we need a back patio session again.
Mm-hmm. We should just do that. We should just figure out how to get that done. All right.
This 12.2% is no joke. Also,
really?
Like, a little head rush. Yeah. Comes on fast. Yeah.
We've been drinking a lot of wine since we're in the alcohol cigar segment of the show. Sarah,
it hasn't started yet.
No, the pre-show is the wine, the beer and wine and spirits part of the show. Since I bought that wine fridge, Sarah's been really good about filling it up. And so we get Gewürztraminer, we get we've been getting some Rieslings that are really good. Man, like that's not, it's a little glass and all of a sudden you get up and you're like, oh no. And then Sammy is even worse. I have to be quiet, but like she's back. So then she encourages me, like, she
we can have a drink, Dad, right?
She makes the movement towards like get the bourbon.
Yeah.
So I think Tuesday night we went out on the deck and enjoyed some Jeff together.
Nice.
Don't bring bottles to the deck. Okay, that's a bad.
Leave them inside. So you have to actually get up and make the affirmative action to go get.
You got to try to get in there. You got to actually get up. At some point when you can't get up, that's when you stop pouring the Jeff. But
that's usually when I start drinking more. If we're being honest.
No judgment here. There's a judgment-free zone. But we got in and we were talking, having a serious discussion. You know how you do when you're serious, all kinds of seriousness. And we're in the kitchen talking. So it started raining. So we came inside. Good discussion. And then I said, okay, I need to like, and she goes, Dad, it's only 8:30.
That's when you know it's an effective night. That was an effective conversation. Got it all done before 8:30.
Holy smokes. So good times, good times, and good times. Okay. let me kick this off. We got some great stuff for you guys tonight, so hang tight. Let me get this done. This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 488, recorded on April 29th, 2021. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here. Mike, we got out for a walk today, sunny and a high of 75. I think that's a song. Pretty nice. These are the best days in the world in Nebraska, right?
You have to take advantage. I worked from the back patio all day today. I sat out there and just worked away, and I was like, you know what? It's too nice to be sitting in my basement working when I could be in my backyard.
When you go out to work, do you just take a laptop? Is that all you do, or do you?
Yeah, I have to kind of be in that mode of, okay, I need to, so I do my tasks in the morning that require 2 monitors, and then I'm okay, I got my 1 monitor task, or just some straight meetings that I can do from the back patio.
Yeah, I see. I can't, I'm pretty spoiled with the monitor setup here, and so I feel like I need kind of a monster setup on the deck too.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about getting an outdoor TV to put underneath. We've got a garden window that comes out of the back of the kitchen, and man, it is screaming for a TV down there. And then, I could probably set up a little something to, kind of work off that thing. And
Definitely.
I got the little DeWalt table that is there, the all season DeWalt table that I got, during the pandemic for $90 or whatever it was. I think it was cheaper than that. Maybe it was 70. And yeah, I just feel like for those kinds of days, we just don't get them. I mean, in the next couple of weeks, the bugs will be out, right? And it just won't be as pleasant.
Yeah, and for my work, we move into our new headquarters next month. So we're back in the office full time. So I'm really trying to take advantage of this, the last month for me of work from home.
Yeah, and I think we go back at Gallup. We're talking about going back kind of on a more regular basis, and we still have a hybrid situation. You can kind of, they don't dictate everybody has to do anything, but they're kind of encouraging us back. Labor Day which is September here in the United States,
right?
So they're kind of encouraging. That's a good time. Get through the summer, get back in, back in the office. So, I took the big monitor back in. So that's in. It's nice. I'm kind of set up in both places now. The studio there is not completely done. It was done, but there was a panel that was wrong. And so I've been waiting for the new panels. They're printing me some bigger panels. They have a big 3D printer that they use.
Oh, cool.
No, that's not a 3D. It's a fabric printer. And they print up these big panels for me. And for whatever reason, it's just taken forever. And the current panels are hanging off the wall. So I'm not going to go in there to record just yet. But yeah, we're headed that way for sure. And I think these are in Nebraska, and for maybe a lot of folks, the early spring is just the best. No bugs.
It is.
The weather's great. I mean, tonight would have been a great night. I should have done live from the deck because
we should have.
Yeah.
The grass is really green.
Oh, I know. You feel like the grass hero. You're like, oh, my lawn is so great.
Yep.
Yeah, I did nothing. You didn't earn any of it because it's just a spring, right?
It's that season where even after you mow, like, yeah, you're right. I haven't done anything, but I mowed and it's just all level and looking just lush and amazing.
Green and great. Of course, what also looks green and great is the show notes. So if you want to head out to the AverageGuy.tv, you had to get back to that somehow. Head out to the AverageGuy.tv and check those out. Tonight there won't be a ton, but it helps if you visit the site every once in a while. And this, of course, is HGG488. Big thanks to those who've joined us over at Coinbase. And Mike, I feel like we just kind of keep coming back to crypto, but it's getting more and more popular. If you want to join us on Coinbase, head out to the AverageGuy.tv/Coinbase on your first purchase or trade of $100 or more. You'll make an extra 10, and I get 10. And so a great way to get in if you haven't done crypto yet. A great way to get kind of introduced to it. Mike, have you been following? Coinbase went public, right? Have you been following that?
They did. Yeah, I mean, just not meeting expectations, but for a company like Coinbase, their valuation out the gate was extremely inflated. I mean, I think we mentioned this on a show before, but when you ask them what their their customer base is, they say essentially anyone with a cell phone, which is a little lofty. I think you could ask any tech company what their expected customer base is, and they could say that. So overall, I'm not fully up to date. I was watching it out the gate when they went public. I haven't really kept up with it too much. It's yeah. It is what it is. It's a tech company going public nowadays, and that's what that entails. Is sometimes it's very overinflated on valuation. I'm a big valuation nerd, though. I love different valuation methodologies, how they think through it. So we could nerd out on that for a few hours, but I'll spare you guys the gory details.
Didn't seem like it rocketed out the gate. In fact, it came out and went down, right? Initially.
Correct. Yeah.
Stayed pretty steady.
Yep.
But okay, that doesn't mean anything about getting in there. theaverageguy.tv/Coinbase if you want to jump in there and get that done. John Biggs contacted me. We talked about Bittrex, Bittrex. We talked about that last week, and he was kind enough to go, hey, you got a referral code for that out there? And I'm like, I hadn't even thought of that. So I went out, and sure enough, there's a referral code that's out there. And if you want to trade on Bittrex, it's another one I like. It's the other exchange that I have. And so if you want to try it, theaverageguy.tv/Bittrex. Mike, you want to add anything to that?
Well, I was going to say great exchange for web-based on a computer. Their mobile app is, could be better. So really? It depends on what your and like it doesn't align up with the screen size very well. So if you are on the computer, I love Bittrex. That's my main one. But Binance, if I'm going to do it on the phone, I use Binance. And there's also referral codes there. So yeah, Binance.us. If you have an old Binance account like we did, you need to now sign up for a Binance.us account for all the regulations.
I probably get that done. I moved things out of there just before they closed that for the US. And then of course, so I have not opened a new account. Yeah. But if you want to join us on Bittrex, again, no pressure. I don't want you doing anything crazy. But theaverageguy.tv/Bittrex, Bittrex will get you there.
And if you do anything crazy, let us know. We love to hear those fun stories too.
Yeah, so,
I don't want you to do anything crazy, but if you do and you have a fun story, let us know.
I would love to hear, a bunch of you joined us on Coinbase with that. And I'd love to hear a little bit about what you've done. The market's kind of settled down a little bit. It's gotten kind of flat. I mean, it's been pinging up and down in certain ranges, but no gigantic sweeps from that standpoint. So we'd love to hear. Join us in the Discord group for this. This would really be good. Mike, do we have a crypto group in there? I think we do, don't we?
We don't. I was actually when I was posting about SafeMoon, which we might talk about later, I was looking for our crypto section, and we don't have one. I don't know if we deleted it after a while. So I put it in general. But if enough people want one, we can create one. But I think just put it in general for now.
Yeah, let's get started with that way. theaverageguy.tv/Discord. If you want to join us in the conversation, a big thanks to our Patreon subscribers as well. Appreciate you guys doing the deed, so to speak, every single month, and appreciate that we are coming up here towards the end of the month, and with it being April 29th, those will hit first part of May. Thanks for your support in what we do here, and appreciate that. Mike, over the next 2 weeks, pretty excited for who's coming on. Next week, Mark Robson's coming on. It's the big barbecue show. I will buy, so it's not big, but I will buy an instant read thermometer next week on Mark's recommendation.
I was really hoping you were going to say a pellet smoker. That's where I thought you were going with that one.
I can't. I'm having a hard time pulling the trigger.
Instant read is a requirement, though. So
I have busted the two that I have. I broke, and then Sarah bought one. Should be careful. It's a piece of junk. It's just terrible. It takes a month for in your hands burned off by the time that you've done it. Now, I've got some fancy other things. I've got the meter and I've got some other things along those lines, but I need especially in the house and for quick stuff cooking, I need an instant read. So Mark's going to walk me through, and that will get purchased next week. If you're in that boat and you're thinking about buying one, we'll talk a bunch about that before we buy.
I'm in the market for a new one too, so I might be ordering that as well.
Not a terribly expensive, not like a $900 pellet smoker. And so if you want to join us next week, Mark is coming on. And then I was recently on the Reset of Reset. So Dave McCabe over at reset.fm has, he's been gone for a while. We did a recording back in, I think February. I think it was Groundhog Day when we did that. And that even took a while for him to get out. But I got a chance to interview. It's just a fun, every time I'm on with Dave, it's a lot like hanging out with you, Mike. It's just a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't, if you kind of, deleted your subscription or walked away from Reset, maybe a good time to come back, interview with Mike and I, catching up. I had just bought the M1, and no, it hadn't even arrived yet. I had bought it, but it was coming. I think we interviewed on Wednesday or Tuesday, and it came on Wednesday or Thursday, something like that. And so, Mike, it was fun to go back and listen to what I said in those days about what I was going to do. We're talking about multi OS, kind of having a ubiquitous approach to the OS and the browsers, and just being able to get to I'm not sure I used the word ubiquitous right, but it sounded good though, didn't it?
We'll accept it. Yeah,
Okay.
it worked. Yeah.
We'll take it. So fun. So if you haven't checked that out yet, head out to reset.fm or just search Reset on any podcast app, and you'll hear yours truly with Dave McCabe, catching up with Dave. And I think he's got another couple interviews planned, so you want to get out there and do that as well. Mike, we got a great voicemail. You can do this by sending it or by jumping over to homegadgetgeeks.com. Go to the bottom right-hand corner. There's a little microphone. Leave us a 30-second message. And Kyle's got a message for us. I think you're going to like it. So listen in.
Hey, this is Kyle Wilcox. I got a question about mining and cryptocurrency. Sometimes I'll hear people say that a certain graphics card is not profitable to mine with anymore. But I guess I'm just wondering, like, if that card is profitable at 60,000, but not profitable at 20,000. But if I was mining the whole time at 20,000 and now at 60,000, does it make the past time that I was mining profitable again? I don't know.
Those people he's referring to are us, I think. Mike, you want to take a shot at that question?
Yeah, and there's a few things at play here. So there's a few reasons a card may not be profitable. Number one, it's just a really old card, and its processing power essentially is not effective enough for the energy it uses to mine effectively. That's number one. Those cards, you're likely not going to make enough anyway to make it worth it. Even if the price were to drastically increase, probably not going to be worth your time. Number two is you may not have enough memory on that card to support the different algorithms that you need to mine, right? We talked about this with Jim's case. Nowadays, you need at least a 6 gig card to mine most of the algorithms. So when Jim turns on his 3 gig 1060, the algorithms he can do are much less profitable. Yep, right there. Then I have a 1060 as well, but my 1060 is a 6 gig, and it can still do, Dagger Hashimoto algorithm for Ethereum, and it can be pretty effective. Now, what Kyle brings up is a really good point, though. And the idea here is, okay, so let's just say I turn on my card and I don't care about profitability. And as of today, I'm paying more in electricity costs than the coin is worth. But if that coin goes up in price in the future, did I make money? There's two trains of thought here. Yeah, sure, go for it is one of them, right? Like you mine, because all you're paying is your electricity bill, and you can monitor that, and you know what you're paying electricity, and that's one way to do it. However, if it's less profitable, it really means that you could be going out and spending that same money in electricity and getting more coin. So if you were to quote unquote do it the right way at that point, you would just throw in cash that day and buy that coin for what it's worth, because essentially it's saying you paid more in electricity in cash that day than you made in the coin. So really you would have been better off just paying cash, buying the coin at that point, than worrying about. And plus, that's not even taking into consideration wear and tear on whatever hardware you're doing that on, right? So number one, you're wearing out your card. Number two, you're paying more than you should be for what you're getting in that coin. Because you got to think, when you're paying electricity, that cost is fixed and the coin is way down here. So you could have paid less cash, got the same amount of coin, and got it. So that's really my mentality on it. Is anytime it's not profitable, I don't mind. I do get the concept of it's just kind of an easy way to be getting into crypto without technically putting in cash all the time. So sometimes I think of it more as a mental game, right? This is like a mental thing of, well, I'm not really putting in cash. Like I'm not really investing because it comes out of my electricity bill and that just comes out of my bank account every month and I really don't see it anyway. So I think it's more of a mental game, I think. Jim, and you agree, disagree with that?
Yeah. No, I agree. You bought, when I had all 4 of these running, it raised my, energy costs $50 to $100 a month. And, that I could have just been investing that. It's, depending on how you look at it, if you want to be earth friendly, it's not necessarily the best way to be earth friendly.
Right.
From that perspective, I've got 4 of the 3 gig 1060 cards that I'm showing here. And so 2 of them are in a box. I took these 2 out of the Chia mining box because I needed the PCI slots for hard drive cards that were going in. I kind of go back and forth, Mike. They're great cards to just keep around because they drive monitors really, really well.
They do. And like, I would buy one of those from you today because actually in my Unraid box, I run my 1060 and it mines. But then when Plex needs a transcode, it uses as well. And my mining power goes down. Now they work great together. The mining goes down. The Plex does the transcode. But I would love 2 cards in my Unraid box. One, it would be a 3 gig 1060 dedicated just to Plex for transcoding. And then, the other card is just straight mining all the time. So yeah, different things there.
Well,
and I think
I'll bring one over, man. Like,
yeah, that'd be fun.
We'll figure it out.
We'll make a deal.
Maybe it's a beer deal or something like that. Right?
Hey, I'm always down for the beer deals.
It's always good to do that.
But it's a good thing to start thinking about because it really gets you around the concept of really what is mining, how is that working. I will say, and I've mentioned this on past shows, if you've done mining in the past and the profitability, the energy cost, you were worried about wear and tear on the card, the NiceHash Quick Miner now, the whole efficiency setting that it runs, the one click where it just really powers down the card, this thing is using, less than half the energy it would normally use at full throttle, still going full throttle and giving me great mining performance. So wear and tear on the cards is definitely not a concern anymore, for me at least. And the power efficiency is really, really good. So if you've had an old card that is, 6 gig and above, I'd say turn it on and just see. I've got 2 cards. The 1060 6 gig is actually in Unraid, and so that's not able to be as efficient because it's just running on a T-Rex miner in a Docker. So that one is not optimized at all. But my 1660 Super is optimized in my gaming rig that actually we're talking on right now. And overall, I think my price fluctuates anywhere from $4 to $6 a day. I would say total between those 2 cards, which for me, that's my fun money with crypto. So every time I get to the payout amount on NiceHash, I take that and I put it into coins that I want to have some fun with, right? That's your Dogecoin. That's your safe coin. Keep some of it in Bitcoin. But for me, that's really kind of my slush fund, if you want to say, right? Because again, mental game. Yes, I did pay for that crypto. I need to remember that I paid an electricity cost. Yeah. But in my head, it wasn't cash out of my bank account. So I consider that kind of fun. Move it around, play with some different cryptos.
Well, and it's not a direct energy to energy to coin cost. You're probably making a little more on that than you paid for the energy. So,
for sure, especially in today's market, right? With the prices going up, you are making money. If the
you don't want to wait too
up.
long on that either, because that, as the more people get into that, the harder it gets to do it. I mean, you got to kind of be fast on some of these things, otherwise you kind of miss out on the optimal times. As everybody's doing it, gets a little less profitable. Everybody kind of starts gaming the system to figure some things out. So if I don't think you want to go out and buy equipment today to get this done. If you've got it sitting around, no. Joe makes a good point. He says, in the United States, in the Northern Hemisphere, it's summer. Do you really want to be running heat machines in the house and then cooling the house? That's kind of a double whammy. You're paying for the energy to get, the coin, and you're paying for the energy to cool that, to kind of cool it down. The winter, it makes a little more sense. You just got to kind of think through those things.
Yeah. I mean, but for me, for 2 cards, $150 extra a month to have some fun with crypto, you get 3 months into that and you got, $450 that you've been playing around with just for fun. So it is a decent way to have some fun.
Yeah.
If you got an extra graphics card, or if you're like me, really the card that does the most performance is in this machine, and it runs when I'm not using it. Even when I'm using it, as long as I'm not doing anything like gaming on it, it still runs.
I know some of the guys in Discord have been talking back and forth about trying to get a hold of GPUs today, which is still next to impossible.
Yeah.
Just because of this. Mike, it's interesting. I wonder when, I mentioned last week, I could see a potential shortage in hard drives. We've been, Ken and I have been working on this Chia project, and it's going gangbusters. It just yesterday went to an exabyte. So from
Wow.
a terabyte, petabyte, 1,000 petabytes is an exabyte, right?
Wow.
And it just 1,024. It just hit the exabyte, and you're thinking, that's an exabyte of plot files that are like doing nothing. To
Yeah.
be honest, right? They're just all they're there for, and it's a lot
very power efficient.
Oh, for
Like,
sure.
extremely powerful.
Yeah.
That's what I love about proof of capacity. I don't know if that's if they're
Yeah.
still quote unquote calling it that,
Proof of
but
storage, proof of space.
yeah,
I don't think it's
yeah,
gonna settle down on that.
an extremely, because think about it. If you guys haven't got into mining and different algorithms, essentially it's the difference of my CPU needing to run all these calculations to try and find the best answer, or your CPU does that once, stores all the answers on as much hard drive space as you give it, and then the only processing power that's needed is, hey, let me look through all of my storage. It's like going through a library. Let me see if I have the right answer to this question. And so it's a scan of the hard drives instead of computational CPU power, which is, when you think of everyone's problem with Bitcoin right now is the energy cost of how expensive it is and how bad it is for the environment. I really like proof of capacity. I hope it goes somewhere. So I like hearing that these sort of projects are getting a lot of backing, because I hope something like that really becomes popular and mainstream.
Well, we'll have an update May 3rd. They have an announcement about going live on an exchange, quite possibly, or you can start. They have not allowed any trading so far on the blockchain, so it's just been mining only. And I think May 3rd the update goes in that allows you to start kind of trading, and then prices start kicking in. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I got 100 or 120, I think 125, let's just say, of those coin in this process. It at an exabyte. Now, listen, I started doing this. Ken got me in on this early, like day one. Like we were mining. We had been plotting since last October, and got everything ready, and then we're there on day one. Most of the coin that I got was in the first 2 weeks, and then it went from, I think on launch day it was 50 petabytes maybe, and then quickly went to 100, and then it went to 500, and then went to it. So it's been growing like crazy, and I got 80 terabytes in there, and there's gigantic players in the space. It's too late. Somebody contacted me and was like, hey, should we get in? I'm like, absolutely not.
Right.
It's just too late. We're going to talk about what's this coin that
Safe Moon.
Safe Moon. Yeah, Safe Moon. We're going to talk about it here at the end of the show. The first question I had, I saw it in the Discord, was like, how long has it been out? Because at some point, if you're not an early adopter, you miss
about
out.
a month. Yeah, about a month. So if you're curious, and we're going to talk about, is it a scam or is it not a scam?
Yeah.
Ooh, a little teaser. Okay.
At the end of the show. Mike, you mentioned a couple last week or a couple weeks ago, you've been watching F1 stuff on Netflix. You get all the way through it?
Yeah, I did. For those of you who aren't caught up, I'm a massive Formula One fan now, thanks to Formula One Drive to Survive, the show on Netflix. I'll preface that by, I am not a motorhead, by that, like I've always loved, like, my extended family is really into racing. My wife's side of the family is really into dirt bike racing, things like that. So they got me into it, but it's nothing I grew up with. Have never been into NASCAR for some reason, just never really was something I was into. Watch this show, Formula One Drive to Survive. If you need a new show, watch it on Netflix. Fantastic show. goes through Formula One. First of all, I didn't know how big Formula One was. Really, it's like the second biggest sport in the world behind soccer. Second, it covers not only just all the complexity with these cars, but the drama behind the drivers and the teams and how all of it works. So really exciting. But to bring it back to kind of an average guy perspective, the level of technology in these cars, Jim, is like fascinating. Their steering wheel is essentially an iPad on steroids. I mean, their steering wheel alone is giving them a massive amount of data. It's got a big screen on it. And then all of the stuff with their car, all the electronics, their DRS, their things that allow them to go into like overtake mode, every little thing on these cars can be controlled electronically through their steering wheel. And not only that, the thing I'm impressed with is all of that data is real time being streamed to the pit, right? These guys' team is monitoring that data. And as soon as something goes wrong in that car, they're asking the pit crew, what's wrong? And like, okay, your brake's a little bit off on this or that. And they're so accurate. The radios between the two. And then what that gives to the fan experience is really intriguing to me because as a fan now, obviously I dove in so deep. I'm paying the $9 a month to be on Formula One TV. And when you watch these races, you have access to the radio, a lot of the metrics on their timing and everything. And it is just fascinating to watch. And what I learned in watching this was Formula One there's a lot of tech in this, but it's not the most technological race. There is actually now, I'm going to butcher the name. I don't even know what it's called. It's like essentially e-racing. There are these race cars now that are Formula One cars on all batteries. So they're fully electric racing, like Formula One style. And it just one of those things, Jim, that I don't know. It's when you have that moment where, how did I not know this existed? Right? Like, why have I not gotten into this before? Like, I've seen Formula One. I honestly confused it with IndyCar. Like, I didn't really know the difference. And after watching this show, it's just one of the coolest things to watch. And I really enjoy it. And I think from a tech angle, as a viewer, as a fan, really cool the insights you get live while you're watching this race. And I think Jim, we talked a lot during the pandemic about the NBA, NHL, MLB, and what they were doing technologically to get the fans engrossed in it. They all need to look at F1 because F1 didn't need the pandemic to do that. They're like, yeah, we know, like fans love data, all the cool insights. They want access to the radios between the cars. That's what they love about it. So I found it fascinating. I'm sure for all of you race fans out there, whether it's NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, you're like, yeah, old news, Mike. But again, this is another thing that Mike discovers late in life, but just extremely intriguing. And the Netflix show does a fantastic job of welcoming in newbies. I think even the fans that have been around for years loved it because it showed the behind the scenes, the drama that's created between these cars. I thought if you're on a team, there's 10 teams in Formula One. I'm like, if you're on a team, there's 2 racers per team. Like that guy's your teammate. And no, like they are competing because those guys are in and out of those seats. They'll fire them, hire them. And so those guys are competing. And actually your teammate is your worst competition because you have the exact same car. So there's no excuse. I'm like, oh, my car is not as fast as Ferrari or my car is not as fast as McLaren. You're driving the same car. So I don't know. Just something I've been going down the rabbit hole of, Jim. And the technology is really, really cool.
Yeah, no, super cool when you see, and I think we're going to kind of continue to see, and I don't know much about this, so I could be speaking totally out of line, but the electric motor driving that Tesla and feeling that, like that's just got to continue to be more and more of an advantage in what they do. All that stuff's heavily regulated, right?
Very. The FIA is the governing body of Formula One, and very heavily regulated. And actually, there's some new rules that were supposed to go into effect this year, but next year, like they're starting to enforce a salary cap because you have the top teams like Mercedes. Their budget's about $435 million a year. And then you've got teams like a Williams, and theirs is about $130 million a year, which obviously there are regulations on what the car can do in that. But obviously with those, you're putting that money to use in other places. So, so salary caps going into place, a lot of other rules. Yeah. They were really cool.
kind of a nice break from NFL, NBA. I mean, there's no football
Oh,
right
yeah.
now, right? And so we're talking
I'm like
baseball.
itching for qualifying on Saturday. I've never
Yeah.
I've never been a race guy, Jim, but this is the first Grand Prix I'm going to be able to watch live, and I am so excited for
Well,
this weekend.
one of the guys I found on YouTube around sports, I've never, and he's been around a while, but I just found him as John Boy. I don't know if you've ever heard of John Boy on
I
YouTube.
haven't, no.
Follows Major League Baseball. Finds the weirdest. He likes to find the nitpicky things that happens between players or umps and players or whatever, and really teases them out. And he does voiceovers of what the players are saying. You know, he slows it down and says it kind of for them, kind of thing. And I went back. He's been doing it a while, and this is another one of those things. I was like, how did I miss JOMBOY on YouTube, John Boy? And just hilarious. Like, baseball is super boring. It is like, I don't know why it's made it as long as it's had. It is one of the most boring sports ever. But he kind of makes it super interesting because he brings in all the personalities of it. And for a while he was going back to, I think during the pandemic, he was going back to games, you know, from like 2012 and 2013 and saying why things are the way they are. There's all these, I'm sure F1 is this way too. There's all these unwritten rules and all these team like friction
Yeah,
between
very much so.
teams,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
That's what you get from the show that if you're just a new fan, you don't pick up. But when you watch the show, you almost get indoctrinated into the culture of F1 before you even pick out who you want to be as your team or driver.
Okay. Well, it's on Netflix. And
Yeah,
what's it
Netflix.
called?
It's called Formula One Drive to Survive.
Okay.
Just search Formula One or F1 on Netflix. It was so funny. I had heard about it and I just started this. It was last week because I think I had mentioned on the show last week, but last Wednesday I heard about it, and I heard about it from all of a sudden like 3 friends who all are not into motorsports within a week. I'm like, okay, this must be something good. And then I brought it up to another friend group. I sent out a text today. Actually, I was like, hey, if you guys haven't checked out this show, and one of them was like, dude, I'm on season 2, episode 5. Like, this is like addicting. And everyone now, it's like all my friends are becoming F1 fans with me, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, that's cool. If you haven't checked it out yet and you're into that, give it a look.
My point is, if you're not even into it, like I am, I was not into racing, so I was not expecting to get into this. So first of all, maybe don't watch it if you don't want a brand new like fandom hobby to watch, because it's one of those you're going to get sucked in.
Mike, we might have buried the lead on this. Of course, this has happened. This is. We have these color crazy iMacs. Apple's made some big announcements. I'm no Mac fanboy. I do own a Mac, but I'm no Mac fanboy. But what's going on over there? I mean, what's the best of what they've announced?
Yeah, so what Apple did was they had an event, and they had it back, I believe it was last week or the week before, and they had a few big announcements, and one of the biggest ones was obviously the iMac and their big changes to it. What they did was really impressive internally in terms of obviously going to the M1 chip. Jim, you're very used to that.
Mm-hmm.
So performance wise, very good. The outside, for me at least, has extremely mixed reviews. If you're an audio only listener, we're showing it on screen right now, but it is essentially a extremely large iPad with a very vibrant color, but only on the back, which is weird. A part of the computer you never see on a desktop machine, and then on a stand. And this thing is so thin that a lot of the internal parts that you would imagine got packed into the bottom. Marquez Brownlee from MKBHD, I don't know if he coined this term or not, but it's called like the chin of the iMac. And I believe in all this marketing, Jim, as you've been on this screen, they have not showed the front, because the front is ugly, ugly, ugly. They have the front, there it is. It has this massive chin underneath that is a different color. It's like a 2-tone color from the color on the back. So a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to get the blue iMac. You're not getting that blue on the front. So it's got this massive chin on it. And they changed the bezels of the screen to white from black, making them way more noticeable when you're looking at this machine. So this machine, I mean, just to tell you how thick it is an iPad, literally a massive iPad thickness screen. So much so that, to put it in perspective, the headphone jack on this thing, they actually had to put on the side of the computer, not the back, because the headphone jack is longer than the actual computer itself. So if you take your traditional headphone jack and look at it, this headphone jack is now longer than the actual computer.
Why would
which
they
is
actually
interesting.
why would they have put a headphone jack on this thing anyway? Like,
I'm glad they did, right?
okay,
But it's not Apple. It's definitely not Apple. Everyone expects them to go away from it.
yeah.
But they've gotten away from so many things from a headphone jack perspective. But think about it, Jim. Like on a desktop PC, we use the headphone jack a lot for, and especially with the Mac being a content creation machine, there's a lot of input output that goes through that headphone jack. So I'm glad they at least kept it. I'm not knocking them there. But I'm very confused by this new look from for a desktop PC, no one, I don't think there's anyone who cares how thick this thing is.
Yeah.
I have an iMac right here that is from 2012, and I am still extremely impressed with its dimensions. And so for me, I would have loved to see them get rid of that chin, make it just as thick, right? If you can do this style of machine with this thickness, imagine if you just like doubled it, tripled it, quadrupled it, I don't care, made it bigger, get rid of the chin, and really change those bezels. If you have to have bezels, change them back to black. I don't know why you would put white bezels on an iMac, but I was just really confused with this product launch from Apple.
Bust Out, who is listening to us over in Twitch, says colorful paperweights. Then he says, I kid mostly, but nothing I'd use. And we're looking at the back of it, Mike. It has a magnetic power mount, which was something Microsoft did in their very first Surface devices, where you plug that in, it snaps in and kind of gives you power. And then I'm assuming these are Thunderbolt 4 ports in the back.
2 are Thunderbolt, 2 are just USB-C.
Okay.
So yeah.
The two Lightnings, that's the Thunderbolt 4,
correct,
right? And then the 2 that are regular are just USB-C.
Right.
So
not much I/O, right? I mean, look at that. There's no Ethernet port on this thing. There's no USB-A. So the old school USB
dongle. You'd use a dongle, right, if you needed it.
Yeah, but again, like on a desktop, right? Like think about it, Jim. There's not even an HDMI port on that thing for like a second monitor. Now I know it's got the monitor built in, but I think there's obviously a market for these type of machines, and I'm probably just not it. But Tajowski brings up a great point in chat. And he says, I'm far from an environmentalist, but in several years, the landfill will be full of these due to lack of repairability and right to repair. I totally agree. I mean, with this style of machine, that's always been an issue with Apple, right? But even more so as you start to get into things nowadays, GPU, RAM, hard drive, all of that gets really hard to get to and to upgrade. So this wasn't my favorite. Alternatively, Apple did come out with a product that actually gets made fun of a lot, but I find actually to be a pretty cool product, and that is Apple AirTags. So this was another part of their announcement. This has been rumored for a long time. I think there's been no surprise that AirTags came out. It's just that it took them this long to do it. But if you are familiar with Tile and the brand Tile, and then sort of tracking little devices, little dongle that you attach to keys or wallets or bikes or bags, whatever you want to do. This is essentially Apple's version of that. But what I like about what Apple has done is they've kind of taken it to the next level, and they've utilized, number one, they've thought of a lot of things that other companies haven't thought of. And number two, they utilized the power of the number of iPhones that are out in the world today. So with an AirTag, it's just like a Tile device. So this is a little tiny tag that you would attach to your keys or your bag, your bike, whatever you want. And they do have a lot of third-party as well as first-party accessories in terms of attaching these little tags. They're about the size of a quarter, but they're a little thick for my liking. But actually, for what they have in them, I can understand why they're as thick as they are. But imagine a little quarter-sized device that you are going to put on things that you want to track. And this all comes back into the Find Me app that Apple has really been kind of focusing on lately, which is kind of a surprise. But this all integrates into the app. And what these devices do is they utilize a lot of the new technology that is within the iPhone 12 and iPhone 11 when it comes to Bluetooth and the different sensors they have in those. And it really does give you a really good experience when your keys are somewhere in your house, but you don't know where. So you get out your phone and it kind of guides you to where those would be. It also has a built-in little speaker in there that can play a sound when you want to audibly know where those are. But the direction finding is actually really cool because that is a very unique experience to you fully utilizing all the sensors where it knows, hey, you're 20 feet away and it's to your right a little bit. Now, okay, now it's 15 feet away, straight ahead, 10 feet away, 5 feet away. You're here, right? Like you found it. So utilizing all the sensors, which is great. But the big benefit here is that when this thing gets lost, and that's really, for me, 90% of the time probably is like, hey, my keys are buried in some couch cushion because my kids moved them. Where are they? So that's how I would use it. But when this is lost, it can actually utilize any other iPhone that anyone has as they're walking by these devices. Now, Tile did the same thing. So Tile is obviously the probably the main company that we all think of when it comes to these little tracking tokens. And Tile had the similar functionality where if you were another Tile user and you walked by someone's Tile that had been marked as lost, it would report to your phone unknowing to the person, which is good. Like if I am a Tile user, I walk by someone's lost device, it doesn't tell me, hey, there's a lost device next to you. It just utilizes my connection back to the network and lets them know of the location. Very similar, except for the fact that the number of iPhones in the world is a lot larger than the number of Tile users in the world. So any iPhone user is going to be able to report back. And then what I thought was really cool is they did add in a lot of safety functionality here. So when you think of stalking being a big issue, you don't want these to be used, Jim, I'm really obsessed with you. I find you, I actually slip one of these into your work bag and you're carrying that work bag around with you. And now I know where you're going. I don't know exactly if this part is strictly iPhone or Android, but if you have, I know for sure on the iPhone, if I'm walking around and there is a air tag that's following that is with me, that's not mine, it'll alert me on my phone saying, hey, this air tag that's not yours has been with you for an extended period of time. Right. And so I think as of right now, that's just an iPhone feature, but I'm sure obviously with they might implement that with something with Android. I'm not sure. But again, these sort of privacy things that are important that really, when they announce this, I hadn't even thought of are nice to see from them.
I like on the website that we're showing on the video, it says AirTag is designed to discourage unwanted tracking. If someone else's AirTag finds its way into your stuff, your iPhone will notice it's traveling with you and send you an alert. After a while, if you still haven't found it, the AirTag will start playing a sound to let you know it's there, that's pretty great, right? From that standpoint of like, okay, now it could be buried deep in something where you're not going to hear the sound and some of those kinds of things, but it's going to start letting your phone know, hey, you've got something that's traveling along with you, right? That's kind of the way to work.
Yeah, and I'll want to hear the first story of the two people in the airport who had the identical bag that was checked, and they grabbed the wrong bag at baggage claim, and all of a sudden, like, oh man, this thing's been alerting me that I have the wrong bag, and that's how they find out.
Yeah, $30 on these, Mike. Like, that's pretty. That's fairly. What was the other ones?
Right around that price.
Yeah.
But the biggest benefit. And Jim, how non-Apple is this? Replaceable battery on these things, which Tile does not have. Tile has always been a landfill item where as soon as it runs out, you throw it away. I had some of the original Tiles and I loved them. I never replaced them after they went dead just because I was like, I'm not going to keep buying these year after year after year. So replaceable batteries on these. Jim, where it gets a little bit expensive is the accessories. I actually did order one of these. I was going to do the 4-pack, and I was like, let me just test one. I'll probably let my wife use it. Honestly, her keys have a lot more keys on them, or maybe she'll want to put on her bag. I do wish this had a smaller form factor because the one item I always lose in my house is my wallet. But I run a minimalist wallet here, and there's no way that thing's fitting on here. But where it gets expensive is obviously you need something to attach it to, unless you're putting this in some sort of backpack or work bag. For keys, for luggage, you'll likely want to get a little attachment. The cheapest one, the one that I ordered to test it with, there's a $15 Belkin little rubber with a little lanyard to it, essentially. That's $15. I grabbed that one just for testing. I do really like the looks of the leather little keychain fob. So if I end up liking the AirTag and going forward, I'll probably end up getting that leather one. But you're looking at essentially then $45. If you're going to attach this to something, $45 is the entry price. If you get the cheapest Belkin attachment for it, $35 or $29 for the device, $15 for the attachment.
There's well, they have a $12.95 one.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Or you're right. It's actually the bottom one I got. The Belkin secure holder. It's for $12.95, not $15.
Key ring.
But yeah, if you want to pay for the Hermes,
what's up with that? $450 for a tag?
Well,
for a
and
holder?
especially Jim, if you compare that one to, if you just go back to go up.
Yeah.
That one on the right. Oh, nope, that's Hermes too. Go all the way up. I think. Is there some other ones?
These are.
Oh, go to AirTag accessories on the left left side there. Click on that. I don't think the look is at all dissimilar to the Apple branded one. Well, right there's one leather one for $40, which is the leather loop, and for $35, right there you can get the leather keychain.
Man, this is sell the blades cheap, and
I've always wondered,
nailing you for the handle, right?
Yeah, and I don't know where Hermes has been, but I do like how Belkin and them have, and I guarantee you on Amazon there will be $5 ones within
$3
weeks
ones for sure. Like it doesn't take much to create some things for this. So so you got one, you say you got one coming?
Yeah, they're very delayed. The holder, actually the tag is going to arrive 3 weeks before the holder. So the tag is going to arrive end of May and the holder will arrive mid-June. So
Jim Shoemaker is wondering if it's pronounced Aramis.
It could be. It's pronounced I don't care. Why is it so expensive?
Buy $450 for.
Yeah, they've had this with the Apple Watch. They've had it with anything they can get leather on. There's this Hermes, whatever. I just don't get why the cost is so high.
Holy crap!
There's probably a story behind that brand that I just don't understand and don't care to understand. But I find it funny how expensive those are.
Yeah. No. Well, funny is, I guess, in the eye of the beholder on this one. That's 450 is a little insult. It's like an insult. Like, come on. But you think somebody's gonna pay? Well, anyways, okay.
They do, because right, like they wouldn't keep going if they hadn't sold Apple Watch bands for that much.
Okay. Yeah, I must have missed that.
People spend money on stupid stuff, Jim.
I must have missed that memo. I don't get it. I do love the idea of the tag and what it can do. I was kind of thinking, when's the last time I lost something? And it's been a while, but then
we haven't gone out in a while.
I'm kind of like when I was in Europe, I was losing stuff, 6 years ago when I was in Europe with my mom, whatever that was, 8 years ago. And, I was leaving stuff all over the place because I was worried about my mom. So I was always worried about where she was at. And I was leaving phones on tables and backpacks in places, kind of stuff. And so that would be, if you're highly mobile and you've got, you got stuff that, and listen, I am prone to leaving stuff places. So I don't know, maybe when we start traveling again or when we start doing kind of that, it kind of makes sense. It fits in my ecosystem, right? I mean, with the iPhone and like, where did I put that thing? I don't have a gigantic house. So, there's really only a few places my keys can be. Right. But I guess if when I was running a lot, we had runners who would constantly, the key would pop out of their pocket. They'd drop it somewhere along the run. Just think about it. You're on a 6 or a 10-mile run. You put your keys in your pocket when you first started. You go to finish and grab them, and you're like, "Oh crap! I've been on trails I can't get to." And am I seriously going to have to go back and walk? And you just got done. You're thinking, "Oh man." So that's a scenario. That's a real world scenario where I would say, having a tag on your keys, if that's something you're carrying while you're running or biking, or whatever, that's a real world scenario where that stuff could fall out. And having the ability to have everybody's iPhone become a finder for you is pretty great, right? So I lose it, I turn it on, all of a sudden now anybody that gets in the vicinity of it becomes a locator for me, right?
Right.
And then it alert me, hey, it's in this area. I imagine then once that person leaves that area, I can't use it, but as I get closer to it, then at least I could get on my phone the ability to be like, okay, it's in this area somewhere.
Yeah, that's where it
Right.
uses, and I should have looked it up. Whatever sensor that is in the iPhone 11 or 12, proximity sensor.
And maybe as Bluetooth, secure Bluetooth.
Yeah.
But maybe, and it's just not very far, just to be honest. Like Bluetooth.
No, it's about 35 feet. For what I've seen is 30 to 35 feet is the directional. It'll lead you to where it's at. And I think of that as like you dropped your keys in a field while you were running and I can't see them and I need to be within 30 feet. And then you're kind of during direction found and it's right there. I've had this, Jim, I've had this happen on a golf course, right? Yeah. Where I've had stuff bump out of the golf cart and my keys or my phone or my wallet is there. I really do think that they'll end up coming out with thinner versions. Jim, I want them to make their Apple Card an AirTag, because how great would that be? Because I am constantly, my wallet for me is something that
this card,
that you've never taken out. I love it because I don't have MasterCard, and so wherever MasterCard's taken, I'm an American Express guy, and this is my secondary card.
Yeah, I've literally never taken the card out of the thing it came in. I just don't. I make payments on the mini. And it's good enough. Yeah, no, you're right, Mike. That's in this form would be a good form, right?
It would. And Tile's already done it, so I know it's capable. It will not be a battery user replaceable item, which I think is what they wanted to focus on here. But it would be a good addition to the lineup.
What kind of battery does it use? One of those little tiny ones?
No, the nickel-sized C23, C023. Whatever that is.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, thin, real thin, but about the size of a penny or a nickel.
About the size of a penny or a nickel. Yeah. Well, cool. That's kind of cool. I think that's one of those kinds of things. I'm not biking or running anymore, but that would definitely be one I would put on, maybe my key ring, because I've never lost keys, but man, I tell you what, I have come across people who have, and it sucks. They're like, they just have this look of frustration in their eyes and like, hey, it's a long shot. Have you seen any, have you been on the trail? Have you seen any keys? And I just think, oh God, that sucks. You know? So to be able to pull out your phone and at least make some, make some guess of where it's at. Maybe even it would remember the last place it saw it, which would be, yep, you left him back here. Like, how great could that be? So super cool. Well, lots of anything else in that Apple announcement that was interesting at all? No, the summary of the iPad announcement is that iPads are extremely overpowered for the operating system that runs them. I'm very excited for the day that Apple really makes the iPad like the Surface, where you can run full Mac OS on it. But for right now, the iPads are
chip, right?
It's an M1 chip, and just how sad is that you're running this overpowered thing on a operating system that totally hobbles, in my opinion, the iPad. So fantastic performance theoretically, and I really wish, Jim, I was actually this leads into a conversation that we'll have at a future date, but I would love to run my day-to-day work that I do on an iPad, and for me, it's just not doable right now. Because I need probably full Mac OS to really do what I do on a daily basis. On those days where I just need to pull up the Excel sheet, run in desktop mode for a little bit, because that's what I'm used to, run it. And it's just with the M1 chip, it's like, why not, guys? Why not make this like the Surface, where be an iPad OS for the most part? I need the full power of Mac OS. Let me switch over a little bit. Again, I'm confused. I don't know where Apple stands. And Jim, I was supposed to be the Apple guy, but I got to be honest. I'm not in alignment with where they're going right now.
I like it. How long before the M1 gets in the phone?
Oh, next year.
Yeah.
No, it won't be next year. Apple has historically done that with mobile. And again, Jim, it comes down to like, why put it in there? It's iOS. I mean, you're not going to be doing like the A12, A13, whatever chip we're on.
Is that their
here?
chip?
Yeah, it's their
okay.
chip in the Apple phone.
Yeah.
Like, you're limited by the OS at that point. And
Right,
again, for me on iPad, that's what you're done. So
Okay.
that's what they've done. So yeah, we'll see where they go with it. I hope they open it up in the future to be more of a Mac OS experience on those iPads. I mean, your iMac is an iPad. Look at that thing. It's a big iPad without touch capability. So why not fully align all these devices?
Well, I can't remember the last time I thought I wish I had an iPad. That's the thing. Like, I wish I had an iPad here. How ironic is it that you said, I wish they were like the Surface? Like, I was like, oh my God.
But for where they're at, right? Because, I have to admit, this iPad comes with me everywhere. Love this iPad.
Yeah.
This is a really old, cheap one from, when did I start at my, 3 years ago. I got this 3 years ago. Love it. I use it for media consumption. It's good for what it's good at. But my point is, why keep putting better and better chips in these things if I can't even use the power of it?
Right.
I would love this thing to run macOS. And now you give me a processor that can do it, but I'm still limited by iPad OS. I'm just confused.
Maybe it's coming. Maybe that'll be an upgrade.
I think it is. That's my hope is that essentially iPad becomes your mobile experience, because they integrated a better keyboard this time with the iPad Pro. So they're making strides here. They're like, hey, your iPad Pro is a really good keyboard now. Wouldn't you want this to replace your MacBook Pro this is the same processor that you're paying more for in your MacBook? You're like, yeah, you're right. I would love to use that as my full-time mobile machine. So I'm waiting for them.
Here's a software update.
Yeah, boom, exactly. It's all they have to do at this point.
Be a good form factor for it, for sure. And it would be a Surface, which is ironic. Like, at that point, it would be a Surface. And, you'd buy a really expensive keyboard, just like you did for the Surface. It would have very few connectors, just like you did for the Surface,
but way cheaper for the performance, though, right? Think about it. For that M1 chip on the iPad price, you're like, wow, this is actually cheap for the processing power. I just can't use the processing power.
Yeah, Joe does make a point, Mike, that it would mean touch on Mac OS, which probably is not going to happen. Or maybe this touch is disabled at that point, right? You're just using it as a screen. Doesn't mean touch has to work. When you're in iPad mode, I mean, couldn't you see a world where they'd have you could switch between the two? Use it like an iPad, use it like a Mac.
And actually, I don't see at this point why you I agree they haven't done touch on a Mac yet, but have you seen all the the gestures on the trackpad for Mac are extremely advanced. Yeah. And I think it's very easy to take those and port those over. I don't think they would have an issue with it. Historically they have, but I think they've been waiting to this point, Jim. This is my point. If in the next year they don't make this happen, they're not going to. Because at this point, your iPads have the same exact processor that your mainstream desktops have. So let's just make it happen. Let's
your
do
laptops.
it.
No, it's
why
not?
It's one.
How much memory is coming in those iPads?
It's a great question. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head.
Okay. I imagine it's the same configuration, 8 or 16 gig of RAM, right?
And again, I wouldn't expect to edit a video on this iPad. I just want to be able to, but you could. Yeah. I want to be able to switch over to Mac OS to do some things that doesn't really work well in iPad OS, then switch back over. For me, my daily job right now, 90% of it can be done on my phone. Right. There's this 10% that I need, and it's just a better experience on the desktop. And that's why I still run a Windows desktop or Windows laptop for work. But, a lot of my day is Zoom. A lot of my day is OneNote, taking notes. A lot of my day is, presentations and stuff like that, which works okay. But there's this extra 10% that's just like, it's not as great of experience.
Well, since I've come home, like the phone rarely gets used. I mean, I'm down here. I have 7 PCs at my disposal. Yeah. Why would I use a phone? And so it just doesn't get not listening to as many podcasts. I'm not taking as many pictures. I'm not traveling as much. I'm not navigating as much. All those things that I would use my phone for. I just am not, and it's okay, iPhone. I still love you, but I'm just not using it kind of as much as I used to, and which could be good or bad in the sense that it's not like there's not wear and tear on it. This thing could last me a while, although I think I'll probably trade it. I'll do the same thing I did the last time, is wait till just the last possible moment, trade that sucker in. Sammy's dealing with that right now. She really abused her phone, so it's not worth much on the trade-in, and so she's kind of like, and this is time for her to get her own phone and plan, and like, okay, college is over. Let's do some things. And she knows she's been a good sport about it. So, Mike, a couple announcements, and we'll talk a little bit. Why don't we talk about this Safe Moon in the post show? What do you think about that?
Even we can save that for a future show. There's a lot to be determined there. So
yeah, let's save that
post show.
We'll talk a little bit about the post show. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you can get the post show through your Patreon feed. So we'll put that out there. If you're not, just head out to our live page, The Average Guy TV on YouTube, and you can get them. You can get us there as well. If you're not a Patreon subscriber and you want to be, theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. Mike, one more thing, maybe two on this. One is last week I threw it in the Discord group, 4:00 on Saturday. So 4 p.m. Central on Saturdays. I'm kind of reserving as a get together. I kind of said it's a cigar moment, but you don't have to have cigars to be a part of it. I think I'm just going to start opening for a while, 4 p.m. Central. If you want to join us in Discord, I will start a Discord video channel. Is that what you call it? What do you call it on Discord?
That's what I was wondering. Is that, are you using the voice channels, or do you need to add some?
I'm using the video channel. So I just went down.
There's video channels now.
It works great. It's
cool.
It's actually really awesome. John, my son, came over. Didn't know I had scheduled this thing on Discord last week. I just pinged
voice, video. Okay, so they're called voice channels.
Yeah.
So are you going to just open chat and voice channels?
Open chat on the.
Okay, so we already have that. And by the way, you guys are always welcome to jump in there whenever you want. Utilize those channels as someone in the community. You guys want to chat with stuff. Hop into open chat. It's open 99.9% of the time. So use
Probably going to be too late if you're listening to this non-live. You already missed the Saturday one because I don't push this thing out till it's usually 1:00 on Saturday. Maybe not that late, but for the next couple weeks, maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks, I'm going to try this Saturday, 4 p.m. Central. Just get together. I'll probably have a cigar. Maybe sometimes I won't, but just an open video channel for you to jump in. If you haven't joined us in Discord yet, head out to theaverageguy.tv/Discord. Jump in there, and love to have you join us for these. I'll have a cigar if you want to have one. If you want to have a cocktail, if you want to have a soda, doesn't matter. Just come out there. We'll be around 4 to 5. Just a chance to kind of hang out and do what we do. Talk tech or whatever. I'm going to be on the patio, or I'm going to be on the deck, and would love to have you join us. So if you want to do that, 4 p.m.s, and I'll announce it in Discord as well. If I'm going to miss one, I'll let you guys know as well. And then one more thing, Mike, before we go. So I've been for whatever reason, I started looking at the Ford Mustang Mach-E. No, that's not what they call it. They call it the what do they call this thing? Hold on, I wrote it in the notes. Yeah, it is a Mach-E. I had that right. That didn't sound right coming out of my mouth. But the Ford Mustang is an all-electric vehicle now in this Mach-E. And Leo Laporte's got one and has been raving about it at this point. Same kind of price point as the Tesla. You haven't been a big fan of Ford over the last 10 years on my end, but was kind of like, oh, this might be worth looking at, right? I don't know. I'm not saying I'm going to buy one, but it's certainly right now we're on the cusp of a lot of manufacturers coming out with their own EVs. I think we're going to see some rebates here, maybe towards the second half of the year. I got to kind of give it a look, don't I? I mean,
you have to. I mean, it's called due diligence. You got to look into all the different options here to make sure you're making the right decision.
So Joe, so okay, so I told this to my wife. I told this to my wife at dinner tonight. I was like, "Hey, I'm looking at this Mustang Mach-E," and I show it to her, and she goes, "You can't. You got to see my face on video." She goes, "Now she's a huge Mustang fan,
Okay.
huge Mustang fan." So she was like, "That's not a Mustang." I was like, "I know, but they're calling it a Mustang." Joe in chat says it's an abomination that they call it a Mustang. They actually, in one of the ads I saw, they call it an SUV, which is really weird. It must be on an
Wait,
SUV
okay.
chassis.
Now I've got to look this up because
No,
honestly, this is the first time I've been hearing of this. So
yeah, Mustang Mach-E is what Mach-E. I guess we could bring this
yeah,
up.
they
or
are calling it an SUV.
you can, yeah.
Oh,
I like your, oh, Mach-E.
Jim, I don't know.
But what are you saying you don't know about? Like,
The
what,
look.
really? You think it's like, okay, I had this same
Like we joked about the Tesla
this-
truck being ugly, but it's so ugly it's cute.
you,
Or like,
you,
it's
you-
so ugly it's cool. This is just, ooh, I don't know.
you think this is better looking than that truck? Here, I'll bring it up. I'll
Wait, do
bring
I
it
think
up on
this is
screen.
okay. The truck was so unique that we all gave it a pass on. If we want to drive it, you're driving it for the uniqueness of driving a truck. You're right. This thing, and maybe it's because they called it a Mustang. Maybe that's why I'm having this reaction. They just shouldn't have done that because this thing is either the ugliest Mustang I've ever seen or, yeah.
It is weird looking, isn't it?
Right. Well, it's just not a Mustang. They should have because
right.
that's what got my brain thinking this is gonna be like a cool looking sports car, e-car, and it is not that. This looks like a cross between like a minivan and a Mustang. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's not for me.
Does
Not
it
for
look
me,
like
for
the
sure.
does it look like the Tesla Y, Model Y? In some it's kind of bubbly like that.
I'm trying to decide in my brain right now if it ruined it for me because you said Mustang, so I had expectations coming in.
Yeah, well, I
and then
think
it just
everybody
it
does.
told yeah.
Yeah.
Because I had the same reaction as your wife, I think, right?
Mhm.
Which was Sarah's response of, oh, like don't call yourself a Mustang. I don't know. Okay, that color doesn't look as bad. There's certain angles it doesn't look as bad. And it's not an ugly car. I'll say that. It's not an ugly car. It's just not a Mustang. Right? They should not have put the Mustang label on this thing.
What should they have called it? I mean, it's a flag.
Just come up with its own name. I mean, it's just not a Mustang.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, look at that one. Look at this green.
Okay, but see, why does that look so different than the other models?
Yeah.
Are there literally different?
Well, I think these could. It's out.
That
you can get one of these. So, like, you got to see.
It's like a little hatchback, right? Like a little. Terrible.
That's a terrible. Like, if this is the light blue, I'm looking at a picture of a light blue one. That is a terrible looking.
Okay, but that body shape is different than the one you show, like the yellow one. So I'm wondering.
I could be showing. Let's see if they have. I could
renderings.
be showing different. No, I could be showing different cars.
It's not an ugly car. It's just not a Mustang.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's an interesting. It was just one of those things. I'm like, well, I think I got to look at this thing. You know, if I'm going to go with the Tesla Y, which is kind of the current version I'm thinking of right now, if the incentives came out today and the truck was not available, I would probably go with a Y. But this fall, especially for the model year 2022, I think we're going to see some new options. And I think there's going to be some companies that are including, I think we're going to see a Ford F-150 truck that comes out.
It's funny you said, because I was just going to say, looks wise and brand wise, I would go with the Tesla, Jim. And that's coming from a guy who's considering an F-150. Like, I'm not against Ford. I have historically, I've been a Chevy guy, but I've put aside all those childhood nonsense. And I'm just like, you know what? Let's just look at it. Let's look at it what it is. So the Ford F-150, I'd be really intrigued to see, but I'm scared. If they called that a Mustang, I'm scared to see what their electric truck is if they call it an F-150.
Do you think they're
not going to make it look like a Tesla truck?
Tim says friends don't let friends drive Mach-E's. And I appreciate that, Tim.
Friends don't let friends drive Fords either. That's the joke, right? If you're a Chevy guy, like, and I've historically been, but again, you got to take it for what it is. Nowadays, the world is just flipped. And
It's crazy. It's crazy town.
you got to take each one.
Sarah's dad worked for Ford, and so we for a bunch of years, 35 years.
So she's a real Mustang fan.
Yeah. And we even bought our very first. I mean, I bought a Ford Focus back when they changed the Focus model completely. Like it was, you just didn't even know it was a new. I think in 03, I bought a Focus, and it was a sharp little car. Now I wasn't. It looked great. I wasn't.
They last forever.
Well, I wasn't that excited. No, I don't know.
Oh, my wife's one lasted.
Really?
My wife drove a Focus for, I mean, gosh, that thing had been old and it just lasted forever.
It needed brakes at 30, and I was like,
okay,
I'm not saying it wouldn't have lasted forever. Maybe it was just the brakes that were bad. But I was kind of like, we traded it in on our Windstar, and and so Joe says Chevys still come with puppies to keep you company on the
The
walk.
funny part is that's not far off from my
home.
Chevy Traverse. We've had a lot of problems with that, so I should probably stop. That's why I say nowadays you just gotta evaluate each car on its own.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Certainly, I got to consider. It will be interesting to see what the truck line from Ford looks like, because I'll be honest, I'd like a more traditional looking truck than that Cybertruck. And I mean, the Cybertruck looks cool. I thought it was ugly when it first came out. I'm willing to take it because I'm thinking about buying it. So it kind of changed me a little bit.
You want the truck capabilities with some, electric benefits. So
yeah, I'd kind of like
the GMC is the only one really, unless I am way behind on car news, but GMC, their new electric truck looks amazing. Like fantastic. That's probably because I'm to the point now, Jim, where I'm like, I've had the same Jeep since I've had since high school. Like, why not ride that thing out for a few more years and really get to a cool EV truck?
Right.
And find one, because that's what I want, right? I need a truck. And so we'll see. If the technology is there, that's what I'm going to do.
Joe's trying to back out now. He says, I kid, of course. And
the funny part is you weren't far off, because my Chevy Traverse, we love the Traverse, like love it, but maintenance wise, it's had some issues. So.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that we're pretty loyal to Subaru, because we have a Subaru and just love it. It gets 60-some thousand on her Outback, and I love that Outback. Great car. I just don't know if I want to be like, I keep cars forever. I don't know if I want to
die in that car.
Well, okay, that's possibility. And I don't know if I want a gas car that long. Like, I'm kind of thinking like, I'd like to get in, be electric, right?
Yeah.
At this point. So, but Honda is another. I mean, I got 250,000 miles on my Civic. If they came out with a true EV from Honda, I have the hybrid, not even close. And so you're kind of like, if they had a true electric vehicle it was close to what they're doing with Tesla. Now, Tesla's got such a jump start on everybody in this space.
Okay, right? That's my question. And I have to ask this question. Jim, I don't know if you know the answer to this. My concern about buying an EV car now is the batteries are going to be like the battery in my iPhone. And in a few years, the charge isn't going to last. Yeah. Like, is this a point where, Jim, maybe you're right, or maybe we do buy one more gas car, and then it gets us through this next battery stage evolution. Right. And it's like, oh, we found out that in 5 years, those battery cars, you need to replace the whole battery, and that's $30,000. What I don't want to run into is this first stage. I just don't know when these stages are with electric vehicles. So do we buy one more gas? Do we go electric? When's that time?
Elon says 10 years on those batteries. And, I got
that's not a long time.
Well, I got for a lot of people. That's the life of the car for them. I got 100,000 miles. Oh yeah, for sure. There's a lot of folks they keep it for 5 to 7 years, and then they're trading out and moving on. A lot of the folks I know, I'm one of the few in my own group that keeps cars. You're an exception. You've got, you've had the Jeep.
I got a 13-year-old car. My Jeep's a 2008.
You've had your Jeep about as long as I've had the
and
Civic.
It feels new still. Like my Jeep feels great. It drives great. I haven't put nothing into it.
Right. Which is amazing for a Jeep, just to be honest. I think
Jeeps are good. Jeeps
Yeah.
last.
Okay, all right. If you want to
Whatever you
believe that.
say. Whatever you say, huh?
Tim,
Okay.
Tim says, no, it's real experience. I'm not. Tim says 250,000 miles.
I'm
Just
with Tim.
broken in. Yeah.
Tim and I are together on that. I've got
Okay.
200,000 on my Jeep. I love it.
Well, the great news, I don't have to make a decision, but I'm going to continue to talk about this just because I think, to your point, Mike, we're at that point. Like I'm thinking about those batteries too. And
Yeah,
they're
we're at a
kinda
hard
like,
stage.
that's okay. When I had to replace the batteries in my Civic, different kind of battery technology in those days, not the Tesla batteries they're building, a little bit different. Oh, about 3,000. So, like you said 30. I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration. I think we're looking at $2,500 to $5,000 to replace those
Yeah,
batteries.
right.
But that kind of feels like an engine replacement, cost. If I were to blow an engine on a vehicle and I took it in, which nobody does anymore, they just replace the car, right? It's too complicated. But you kind of feel, and then on the other side of it, you think, Elon's just crazy in thinking about some of these things, and he has all this future stuff already built into the vehicle. So, you're like, I don't know. So the good news
that's what I
is,
like about Tesla.
yeah, there's a lot of engineering stuff already built in.
Yeah. And I've been hearing, so I've been really interested in the whole home sun, right? Panels, battery bank in the home scenario, doing solar in the home.
Right.
But everyone in the forums, all I keep reading is don't invest in a battery bank right now because battery technology, we're literally in the stage of you wait just a few years and you'll have a much better experience. And so I just equate that in my mind of, okay, if people are saying that about battery banks in the home, are they saying that about battery banks in the car?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a fun time.
No, right on. It's what's coming in, and Nebraska hasn't been necessarily the most favorable state for these kinds of things. So, are we going to get bit on that end too? So we got a lot of things. Well, we'll see. I don't have to buy anything at this point, which is super awesome, and I'm not. I get to kind of continue to talk about this. If you got feedback for me, if you got ideas, whatever. You can send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv, if you want to kind of talk a little bit about it. I'm pretty short in emails, just to be 100% honest, but you can send those to me. A couple reminders before we go. One, if you want to join us on Patreon, and why wouldn't you want to do that? Theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. Get you in the club there. Join our Discord group, theaverageguy.tv/Discord. You can leave us a voicemail like Kyle did today, homegadgetgeeks.com. We love your voicemails. I'd even love some funny, silly ones. If you just wanted to leave some crazy, I'd play them if they're appropriate. And jump in there. The Average Guy. No, that's the wrong one. HomeGadgetGeeks.com. Get you there, and we'd love to have your voicemails. Again, contact me, Jim@theaverageguy.tv. Follow me on Twitter @JCollison. Uyghur is @Uyghur Tech. Of course, the AverageGuy.tv platform, both web and media, hosted by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust. And of course, that's Christian. Visit maplegrovepartners.com to get I think some of the best hosting that's around. Plans start as little as $10 a month to get you in there. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at the AverageGuy.tv/live/. Mark Robson is back next week. It'll be all barbecue. Dave McCabe from Reset is coming the 13th, the week after that. And Mike, it's all woodworking. Like, we're gonna talk tools, saws. Yeah, I knew
I'm
you
so down for that, Jim. I got a brand new one for my birthday, and I've been using the crud out of it. I
knew McCabe's gotten into woodworking. He is crazy. I know you're doing it as well. I think it's a good time to talk about this because
it's a great time.
Wood is ridiculous.
No one can afford. I was gonna say, because we all can't afford to do our projects anyway.
Yeah. Well, but doing it, like, I think the cost of the high cost of wood is going to make its way into all furniture, and furniture is going to get priced just ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
And so if you
my parents are looking to move, and the price of housing is insane to build new. They wanted to build up here, and just absolutely insane.
No, you're not building. Not right now.
Yeah.
You're not building.
I heard actually they caught a really big smuggling ring though. They caught about 3.5 billion of wood smuggled inside of cocaine. So it was It was very, very interesting with that bust. They had smuggled the wood inside. Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
so.
you guys get it. You guys get
that
it.
is so great. I appreciate that. That was really good, Mike. I didn't know where you were going with that. I was like, that's pretty good. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. We'll do a little quick post show because I've got to call at 10. But little post show as we talk about Safe Moon and the craziness behind that. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody. All right, Mike. What is this Safe Moon?
Oh gosh, I should probably drink another beer before I talk about this. Guys, just know if you're listening to this show, I am not promoting this coin in the slightest. This could be a scam. This could be fun. We don't know what it is yet, but I want to explain what Safe Moon is. So, with that precursor out of the way, Safe Moon is another crypto that's out there right now. And their model, their white paper, if you read it, is really interesting. So, the way they are doing this is, first of all, they say they had a fair offering, meaning that the owners, the originators, the creators of the coin, they say burned their coin. And burning a coin essentially is destroying it. So they say they destroyed their original investment. The rest of this is extremely interesting. So whenever there is a transaction with SafeMoon, there is a 10% tax. So whether you're buying or selling, transferring, if you send this from one wallet to another, 10% tax. That 10% tax, half of that gets burned, meaning destroyed, and half of that gets distributed out to the rest of the holders of SafeCoin. So really the thought here is big disincentive to sell the coin, right? They are all about holding the coin, maintaining value. And they claim that with the burning of the coins that there will be, it'll increase value, right? Because it's not like Dogecoin where there's this infinite value. There's this infinite number of coins. Like they have a limited number, it's going down, increased value. There's honestly, there's a lot of problems with that stance, to be perfectly honest. There is the fact that they have said that the managers of the coin, the creators of the coin, control the burn, and that they will announce it to the group. Announcing burns in itself is a very dangerous / interesting concept, because if a whole community knows, if the world knows that an amount of coins are going to be lost, there's going to be likely a big influx of buying of that coin, driving up the price, followed by a really big drop off. So I have a lot of questions on why they would announce that the burn is going to happen. I think that's going to create a lot of pump and dumps scenarios. But overall, a very interesting concept because of their game plan. And if you believe what their game plan is, it is to, number one, create an exchange. And they just did a $1 million raise outside of the coin. And so they did a $1 million raise. They actually met the goal. If you the funding page on their website talks about that goal, they hit it. So they are going to start development on their exchange. The next steps are more like quote unquote education apps. So creating education around this, and then philanthropy. So a lot of charity work, things like that. But the overall kind of theme here is that it's called Safe Moon because we're all, if you're in on this, we're all going to the moon. Meaning a large increase in value, but safely. The way they've done it, it's not supposed to be a pump and dump scenario. But a lot of people, you're going to find a lot of different arguments out there around the way they've structured this coin. What does that really lead to? So that is where I will leave this up to you to make your determinations. I think the concept is extremely interesting. I like all the different things they're doing with burns and reflection and distribution back out to the main holders for people that sell. And for me, it's one of those, okay, I'll buy a lottery ticket, right? Like I'll buy a lottery ticket on this one just for fun, just to see where this goes, just because it's interesting enough and it's new enough. That's the other thing here. This just came out in March. So just came out in March, and it is one of the top viewed cryptos right now. It's got a lot of those really annoying social media pumpers like Jake Paul and some of those other guys. But, all in all, a very interesting product. I think what the non-selling holding model creates is what some people refer to as like a multi-level marketing or Ponzi scheme, because it's like, hey, I can't be the last person holding the bag here. The more influx we get, the more new money is the only way we increase. So I think that could create some problems for them. But overall, an interesting model, something educational for you guys. This is not telling you to buy at all. This is educational. What's going on in the world of crypto right now? And SafeMoon is the world of crypto right now. It is all anyone is talking about. So now you are up to date, and you can talk to your friends around the water cooler when you get back to around a water cooler about what SafeMoon is.
When you said going to the moon, when we were talking about it in the pre-show, I thought you literally meant like the end goal was to go to the moon and start a moon colony.
Yeah.
Like, I know, I understand the term going to the moon, but
yeah,
there was pictures of, spacemen and astronauts, and I thought, are they thinking they're going to start their own moon colony? Is this what
they just want to make everyone really rich.
Yeah.
So we will see.
Right on. Well,
for
no mining, right? No mining on this thing.
I haven't looked into that yet. I don't know how the mining works. It is based off of the Binance coin. So Binance has a smart contract coin, and it's a derivative of that. So that's where it runs right now. To give you guys perspective on the price point, especially for those you audio listeners, if you were to have about $80 right now worth of this coin, and it hit 1 penny, you'd have about $180,000. So that's where we are at fractions of a penny right now.
Yeah.
To the point where $80 will get you $80 to $100 will get you about 17 million of these coins. So that's the attraction too, is that everyone's like, well, this could hit a penny, couldn't it? And I could, so that's part of the attraction, I think.
Which is even below burst and below SIA.
Oh, way below.
Right,
way below. And we're so early on that I think that that's another reason why people are getting in. It's almost like one of those penny stocks that people love to see below a penny.
Doge. It's like Doge.
Yeah. Doge worked out great. So if it's like Doge, I'm happy to be along for the ride.
Listen, Doge only works. It's a hype coin. That's my new term for these. They're just hype coins. It literally does nothing. It's like an NFT. It is nothing. It is literally nothing that people are putting money into, right?
Yeah, and I think the one problem with Doge that makes it not as valuable as Bitcoin is its infinite supply.
Right.
Right. If that one concept was different, we would not be able to make any argument that it's any different than Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So I think that's where really you're right. It's
literally nothing.
Yeah, the inflation on it is insane.
But people are speculating on it, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. I mean, right. Which is essentially the backbone of crypto.
People speculated on gold, and during the gold rush, they speculated on land during the land rush. I mean, this isn't a new thing, right? I mean,
no,
there's always been penny stocks, like you mentioned earlier.
And it's not to say speculation isn't worth anything, because it is, obviously.
Yeah.
Gold, silver, diamonds, all of that, it is what people say it is. But the instant people say it's not worth what it isn't, it tanks. Mm-hmm. Just keep that in mind, right? That's the thing about hype coins. It's up because people think it's up. The minute it's down, it has no backing otherwise to say, hey, just because people say I'm down doesn't mean I am. It doesn't have that. So be careful, but also have fun.
Yeah. Well, it's been interesting to watch Bitcoin slow down and Ethereum pick up. Mean, that has just been, I was looking kind of, I in my Coinbase account, I always had about the same amount of Bitcoin and Ethereum. It was just, I kind of kept them close to each other. In fact, I kind of had I was doing a trading policy where when one would grow 1,000 more than the other, I would sell down.
Really nice.
Like to recapture. And I don't know if that was successful or not. Who knows? But right now, between the Ethereum's worth 2/3 and the Bitcoin's worth 1/3, and those had been 50-50. So, you kind of go, oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, Ethereum has moved a lot. in this case. And, you're like, all right, well, let's see what happens here. I'm going to do my very, very fancy and well thought out trading method, which is do nothing.
I like it. That's honestly the one that wins the most often, to be honest.
It's been a good policy so far. So, one to look at if you're thinking about, if you came here, because we said we were going to talk about this in the post show, and you came here, great. Mike, I think one just to kind of keep your eyes on. It's not on any exchanges yet, right?
It's on a very selective few, and they're very minor. They have a way of recommending how you buy it, and that's the the Trust wallet on iOS, and then it's through Pancake Swap. So again, all these red flags of people like, so I have to open up an app, then I have to open up this exchange called Pancake Swap, and that's how I get it. But yeah, that's how
if it sounds jankety, it probably is. But like you said, I like, you've taken
when I'm talking to you from my island next year, Jim.
I know. Are you still going to talk to me, Uyghur, when you?
I'll be doing this podcast literally from an island, being like, Jim,
you blow past me, in this.
Yeah, because if it hits $1,
like my goal is just to pay off student loans. That's seriously my crypto goal is how do I pay off my daughter's student loans, and so that's the kind of goal I've been shooting for. It's kept me from selling it for other things. It's like, I could have, back on its way up, let's just say like in May of last year when it was on its way up, I could have been like, man, I could have bought a really nice computer with this. Well, good thing I didn't. And then in September, you're like, wow, I could put a down payment on a car on this thing. And I didn't.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, I could buy half the car with this thing. Right. And you just, but I didn't. I think the key is just hold on, see where things go.
Yeah.
Crazy times. So guys, if you're listening live, thanks for joining us tonight. My sister pinged me during the show and was like, can you talk? And whenever my sister says that, she means business. So I've got a call with her here in a few minutes. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you back next week. Again, Mark is here with us, and looking forward to doing some grill barbecue and buying a real instant read thermometer next week. We'll see you guys.